Me.
Good afternoon, you guys.
Feel like it's been forever.
Welcome back to the podcast. We actually did not podcast. I can't see
I know.
you.
This is tough.
Hi. I'll move.
You kind of got to rotate your chair.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do.
This is super handy, this little thing. I feel like
s-
I can comfortably sit in my chair
When
and
we first
chit-chat.
got it, Courtney was like, I don't want a boom stand.
I know it felt aggressive to me. It looks so aggressive,
Yeah.
but it's actually really nice when you're like sitting in a chair for an hour
Yeah, it can get
talking.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Leaning forward in a chair.
In a tear.
You guys don't know this about Courtney, but she catches
Everything.
every slip that I have with my grammar or
because
pronunciations.
Well, I'm surprised you don't call me out more on my grammar on my like Instagram story. Like I am. That's one thing
Grammar's
that
one thing. I feel like
if I miss a whole ass
you
word,
have
you're
a
like,
run-on sentence or
Yeah.
wrong punctuation, but it's not as noticeable if I just like say a word completely wrong
it
or I
kills.
lisp it or something.
You don't hardly ever do it, so every time you do, I'm like, oh, what was that? What'd
I
you
feel like
say?
it's getting more and more.
Yeah, you're getting a little lispy in your age. Turned 40 and you're like,
Hey.
blah.
I'm not 40 yet.
Almost.
39.
Almost. So anyway, last week, we haven't even talked since we got back from Banff.
Banff.
We have not even podcasted. So we got back from Banff, and then a week later, which was last week,
Yep.
I just got a random sickness and I was down and out.
Yeah, she's
Well,
down for the count.
For sure 24 hours. And then by Wednesday, so Sunday I had like a fever of 102.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you the last time I had a fever.
Yeah.
It's
I can't even.
been probably in high school. I'm not
Yeah.
even joking. I don't get sick and I
No.
don't really get fevers. And I knock on wood as I say that, but I just really don't. And even when I had COVID, I sneezed a lot. That was the only symptom I ever had. And I don't even know if that's a symptom, but we got it after we got back from Hawaii.
Yep.
And I wasn't even the one couple that we like really hung out with a lot. They ended up having COVID.
Yep.
And so I was like,
There was quite a few people
maybe
on the trip that got
yeah.
it.
And I was like, maybe we should test. And I was feeling a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I got like really congested, which I don't really get congested very much either. And then I had COVID and it was like 2 days and I was like, I feel nothing. So for me to get a fever, it's kind of a big deal. So Ethan went golfing and came back and I was like, you have to check my head. I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, you have to check my temperature because I feel like I'm hot, but I was freezing.
Yeah.
So-
Sure enough. 102.3.
Yeah, that's solid for me.
But I'd say it lasted more. 24 hours was like more the higher fever.
Yeah.
The next day she was like down to 99, so it was still slightly elevated.
Yeah.
And you were just kind of
Tired.
and lethargic for I'd say 72 hours total.
Yeah.
Maybe 3
By
days.
Wednesday, I was feeling a lot better. And then, and then I got this weird thing with my mouth and I have no idea what happened. But anyways, so we didn't podcast last Sunday like we typically do because I was.
So we apologize for the week off.
Yes.
However,
Here
we are.
Here we are. Lot of questions today about Banff and kind of, which we would love to go into. Canada was amazing.
That part.
Banff,
Yes.
don't. You're going to like diss everybody from
I'm
Canada.
not
You
diss
better.
everybody.
You better.
I'm not going to diss everybody. I'm just going to say from a scenic perspective, as far as the road trip goes.
Well,
Once we passed up into Canada, which we passed up in just north of North Dakota, like into Saskatchewan, and then basically followed that over into Alberta. It wasn't until we got into Calgary. I mean, there was definitely some interesting spots where we found like that salt deposit where salt was basically just oozing out of the ground somewhere in Saskatchewan, but everywhere else it felt like we were driving through North Dakota. Just
which
very
North
similar
Dakota,
scenery.
if you live in North Dakota, you know it is. North Dakota and Iowa for me is the hardest states to drive through because it's like when you're going on a road trip, you want to like look at things.
Yep.
And Iowa and North Dakota, I'm not dissing you at all. I'm just saying there's not much to look at.
Right.
So, and it's really flat. So it's like in Iowa, I just remember as a kid, our friends lived in Iowa and I think they were in Des Moines, and it was like so many cornfields.
Yep.
And going to your brother's in Kansas City, Iowa seems to be like the halfway-ish point.
Yeah.
And so it always feels like it's so long
Yep.
to get through.
Des Moines like exactly halfway
Yeah.
to Kansas City.
Yeah. So I was surprised when we went. I have to tell you guys, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably heard this, but if you don't, you didn't. Obviously. We got in and we drove through the night, and we got to the border at like 2:30 in the morning. Everybody's sleeping. I'm listening to my book. Oh my God, this fly is driving me bananas.
I know, if you guys can see.
He's bothering me. If we got there and I was like, I've gone through the border before.
Yeah.
But we haven't. When was the last time we went out of state or out of country?
But the only time we've ever gone through
it's more
border is flying.
Yeah.
We've never driven across a border.
I've never driven. I guess I should say that.
Way younger.
Yeah.
Before I think we just had birth certificates.
Yeah, so it's definitely, I thought maybe it's kind of the same when you're going through like internationally on an airport. They're like, what are you doing? How long are you going to be here?
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the lady was so nice and she was so Canadian. But I was so nervous.
Oh yeah, it's like a mini interrogation. I'd say it's easier than going through customs and border stuff, like traveling by plane.
Yeah.
Because you got to fill out a whole form. Mm-hmm. What are you bringing? What's its value? And then when you're going back, what are you bringing back with you?
Yeah.
Prohibited items. And
do you have food? Did you take plants? And
Yeah.
you're like, no, I don't want your vegetables.
Yeah. When you drive through by car, it's like maybe 3 minutes max.
Yeah. The girl's like,
ask a bunch of questions.
She's like, why are you guys going through so late? And I was like, that's because the kids they just sleep. And she was like, that makes sense. And she was so nice, but I full on, like, I forgot everything we were doing. She's like, where are you going? I was like, where are we going? I forgot. I literally forgot. And then she's like, how many people do you have in the car? I'm like, I forgot.
You get like all nervous for no reason, just because you feel like you're being interrogated.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 in my family. Like, I should know that. But then they're like, is there anybody extra? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I freaking hope not. Anyways, so yeah, it was really fun. The kids loved it. I did not realize that Canadian food is so much better than American food.
Yes, especially when it comes to their sweets. And we were like blown away when we first because we had heard like, you gotta try the candy, it's better.
Yeah.
But then one of our friends, Jason, was like, yeah, it's because Canada banned like high fructose corn syrup or something.
I think that's what he said. His wife
so it's straight,
grew up in
like
Canada.
Actual real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. That's why.
And their
tastes
chocolate, so Kit Kats are made. Everybody was saying you have to try our Kit Kats. They're so much better. And I was like, Are they really? Are they 100%. Really? 100%. They really are. The chocolate in general is.
I know. I don't get it. I don't get why
I cannot
so
with you.
Here.
I cannot. If he's yawning again. Anyway, you guys, did you notice our new pictures?
Is this the first podcast?
Yeah.
It wasn't up with you and Rachel?
No, we just put those up. So we got mixed tiles, which I did have a code with them. I don't know if I still do. But they are the best.
You want a quick demonstration how easy they are?
No, we showed it. They're magnets. Oh, I forgot there were big ones again.
Yeah, just a big square magnet.
Ugh, I'm obsessed.
I'm probably, because I'm not going to be able to stand up and see.
Oh, you better make it straight, dude.
So,
anyway, so Kit Kats are made by Nestle in Canada, and in America they're made by Hershey's. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's like Nestle's so much better. I mean, Nestle chocolate here still doesn't taste like Nestle chocolate there. No. Like their Cadbury, like they have.
There's a lot of food, or a lot of candies made by Cadbury in Canada. I know.
Yeah.
A
lot of their chocolate, like we do not have that much chocolate by Cadbury.
No,
I mean, they have Cadbury eggs.
That's all I can think of literally is Cadbury eggs, or maybe specific things around Easter.
Yeah.
Majority of our candy bars are not made by Cadbury.
Right. Yeah. But
Hershey's,
anyways,
Nestle.
yeah, we had ketchup chips. We had the all dressed chips.
Which
we
were
had
amazing.
Putin, which a lovely follower came up to us and said, like, she was talking to us saying hi. She was the nicest person anyways. And she was like, oh, it's Putin, which is more French is what I think she said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Yeah, here we do. And all the Canadians are probably like, that is not right.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I try. But so some like tips and tricks of us in Banff. So we actually stayed in Canmore, which Ethan, when we go on a trip, he is Mr. Researcher.
Mm-hmm. I'm a travel agent.
Yeah. And you did actually talk to a couple people who were messaging you tips and tricks too.
Yeah. Thank you ahead of time.
Yeah.
If you guys watch our podcast, that also were the ones commenting or sending me messages on Instagram.
Yeah.
Super helpful. It was nice to hear from locals instead of just the top like tourist things to check out.
Right.
They were giving us local spots that we definitely need to hit up. So yeah, it was.
We should say the first night when we got into Canada, we didn't stay in Canmore. We stayed more in the mountains.
We stayed in Kananaskis County.
Yes.
In a place called Kananaskis Village, is like a little ski resort town.
Oh my God. I wish we were there longer.
We literally, so the whole reason, I'll make it short, but the whole reason we originally booked a lodge in Canmore from, when did we leave? Sunday. It was from Monday night to like Friday night. Mm-hmm. And then I found this, you know me, like I do this research and I book and then I like start second by guessing myself and looking to see if there's anything better. And so I find this lodge that was actually better, like more amenities, higher stars. And so instead of booking that one, because there's a cancellation, like a certain number of times you can cancel on Airbnb without a penalty. So I canceled the first one, then I went to rebook the other one and it had disappeared. I was like, oh my gosh. So I called the resort the next day and they were like, oh, it's because somebody booked one night. So if you shift your whole trip back or forward, however you look at it, then you can do it. So I'm like, all right, I got to come up with one place to stay for one night. So I found a Marriott property because I have a lot of Marriott points from work travel. And so it was a Marriott property. And I agree. It was attached to like a Nordic spa, which was we'll talk about. Yeah. It was amazing. But we stayed there one night.
In the mountains and like every single night they had a s'more making. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Okay. The s'mores, the chocolate that they used. What the fuck?
It was like, what was it? Like Lindt chocolate, Lindt. Like
I have never
chocolate
in my life seen people use, and we were like, they were little chocolate squares that you put on the thing, and it. Oh my God! I mean, we have Hershey's, and now I'm like,
that's all anybody uses.
Forget Hershey's. Mm-hmm. It is like wax. Yeah. And I feel really passionate about this because like I grew up. I obviously grew up in the United States. Right. So like I grew up thinking that was good chocolate, like kind of, like Lindor is good and whatever. But there is just nothing like Canada chocolate. Like it is so creamy and has so much flavor.
Here's how passionate Courtney is about it.
So passionate.
Every stop to go to the bathroom or to get a meal on our way back from Canada before we hit North Dakota, every stop she was like,
Kit Kats.
It was probably like $40 to $50 worth of candy at the convenience store. Like,
you guys should see our refrigerator drawer.
A specific drawer in the fridge that we've just been rationing like every day or every couple days.
2 Kit Kats every night because I'm like, well, I don't want to have 4.
Two sticks.
Like I'll have 2 sticks and I'm obsessed. But anyways, so they have s'mores every night. And then if you do the Nordic spa, they had this whole thing. It was amazing. They had like hot tubs, cold tubs, saunas. They also had steam rooms. Yep. And the steam room, they had an exfoliating room. I wish we were there all day. We only were able to be there for a couple hours, but
and there was multiple, like 4 or 5 saunas, like dry or wet saunas. Like I mean, it was incredible. You do like the whole cycle, like the cold, hot, rest, cold, hot, rest.
Yeah.
And their cold plunge tub. You guys probably, if you follow us, know that we have like a portable one that we've been into lately.
Yeah, we chatted about that last time.
Theirs was probably like around 41 degrees. The coldest we've got, ours is like 48. It was cold, but it felt.
But you could tell their like water was a lot like smoother.
Yes.
I don't know. That sounds so weird, but like up in the mountains, the water is just different.
It's not treated.
Yeah,
like it is in the city.
it's so clean, and your body just feels really good. And the thing about it though is you are in the mountains, so like randomly there'll be these thunderstorms that come through, and then they won't let you be in it for 30 minutes. So you're kind of So that happened to us, but you know, it was okay. Austin went with us too. So we stayed there for a whole entire night. And then, so that was our first night. And then the second night we stayed in Canmore. And Canmore has this cute little downtown, lots of places to eat. And the thing about Canmore is it's not as busy as Banff. So if you are going to Banff, like we love touristy places, but like we don't necessarily love staying in those places because it's like traffic is really bad. There's a ton of people everywhere, and we almost want to be like, okay, like I want to be away from people when I'm sleeping. Yeah. So it was so nice. And Banff was only 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was a 15-minute drive. It was pretty close.
Yeah. So it was not far at all.
Yeah, Canmore, a few of the people that reached out to us that were giving us recommendations said specifically stay in Canmore.
Yep.
Also, they said it was cheaper than Banff.
Cheaper than Banff.
15 minutes difference. But Canmore is like, there was constant construction going on. Not road construction, but like building lodges and resorts. I mean, the place is popping. I mean, there was probably, the resorts like that we stayed in, there was probably 10 of them. All within like a mile area. Yeah. And Banff, I mean, when I looked at Airbnb and we had booked maybe 3 months out. Yeah. There wasn't a single option, I think, in like close to Banff besides Canmore.
Yeah, I know a lot of people
booked in advance.
Yeah, they'll book way more in advance, but it's crazy to me that Banff, I don't know that I could actually live there because it just like seems like it's, I mean, they just opened in June because of like snow and stuff.
Yeah, they're only open, what they say, June through September.
Yeah. And it's such a short time.
Literally, we were like, the town closes? They were like, yeah, the town closes. We're like, huh?
Yeah, they were like, we met somebody. And she's like, yeah, I moved here to work. Yeah. And then she goes. Yep. I'm like, what? I didn't know. I guess I didn't realize, like, I thought, the town still was.
Yeah, like was open year round, like most towns are, but
like they just kind of work around the snow.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I mean, similar to a lot of touristy destinations, there's a lot of people that come internationally to work. They go on like a rotation or whatever.
A lot of different like language accents.
We had booked a fishing like on one of the lakes, Lake Minnewanka. And our fishing guide was from Australia, like with like a thick, heavy Australian accent. Yeah. Super cool. But I'm like, how did you end up here? Just travels around and works in different touristy destinations.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I could do that, but like that, I mean,
right.
I don't know. But yeah, so we also we saw Lake Louise, of course, and Lake Moraine. And Lake Louise was actually really nice because we booked Ethan booked horseback riding around Lake Louise. And what was really nice about that is Lake Louise is busy. Yeah. When we went down there, I was like, holy people. Yep. Like packed.
Insanely packed. It was hard to like get a picture of all of us without anybody else in it.
I had a million people in my pictures. Yeah.
You're like, let's figure out how to edit people out.
I know. It's kind of hard, but yeah. But when you do the horseback riding, you are like automatic, like you get the right of way. And so everybody who's walking on those trails, which there was a lot of people once we got down there, they all had to move. So we just kind of walked, and they're all really slow. You just kind of, and you can see it from really high up, which is a way better like picture because you're super high up, and you're like, then you really see how blue the water is. Yeah. Which, you guys, I geeked out about this because I'm just like, I don't understand. How is it so teal and so blue? And it's the glacier. It's like there's so many.
I'm probably gonna mess it up. But like the water that drains off the glacier is like this cloudy
It's a milky.
They call it glacial milk.
Yes.
And then when it makes it down into the rocks in the lake, there's some mineral on the rocks, right?
Yep.
The glacial milk interacts with the mineral on the rocks, which makes it like this turquoise blue color.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And it's freezing. Somebody was like, why is nobody swimming in these lakes? I'm like, you can swim in it.
Or fishing.
No, the fish. Okay, so the water is like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
So, and you're already up in the mountain, it feels like fall up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is cold. Ethan and Austin and Grayson kind of went swimming like a dip in Lake Moraine, and it is cheery.
It was incredible. It was so refreshing, but then we kind of walked around in there and we were skipping rocks, and after about 2 minutes, like anything that's in the water goes completely numb.
Yeah. So people are not like swimming. They're taking dips and they're getting out.
You do it to say you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we went horseback riding, the lady the cowgirl, she was like, yeah, fish don't get bigger. And this was at Lake Louise. The fish don't get bigger than this because of the water temperature. Like they just don't grow that big. Yep. And you can't in the mountains anyways, or like in what is it? The National Park. You can't go fishing. So you don't want those fish.
Lake Minnewanka was also in the National Park territory, and that was one that they did allow fishing in, which had bigger fish. It wasn't considered a mountain lake. It used to be a river that they dammed off. So it wasn't like the blue turquoise color. Mm-mm. But also it's really hard to even, it's not like well known for like fishing in the sense that you're going to catch a bunch of fish, because they have everything they need in their natural environment, and they don't allow us to use live bait. And so when you do lures and stuff like that, the fish are just kind of like, meh.
What is that?
We caught a couple like small white fish, but we were hoping to get like some big lake trout or something. But
it's insane though. It looks like the picture that the guide took of them. It looks like there's a backdrop behind them. It just like literally doesn't even look real. It's insane.
It was incredible. I wasn't even upset that we didn't catch much, because I was like just being out on this boat and getting the views. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you guys ever debate going, highly recommend. It is Canada in general is more expensive. Mm-hmm. So food, every single meal cost at least minimum.
Yeah, probably like $80 to $100 for the 5 of us to eat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even at McDonald's was like $70. Yep. I'm like, whoa, that's expensive in Canada, but it is so much better in Canada.
Yeah, they had literally the McDonald's menu was like, what?
They had snack wraps back. I was like,
what would they call it? The Grand Big Mac, which is like bigger than the Big Mac.
And they have like Canadian Angus beef.
Their beef is just better. Alberta beef. Like when we were in Alberta, that's obviously what they. Yeah. So it's almost like in Canada, like they are able to choose like their own beef that's being used as opposed to
in the United States we get like the
US.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't even think I want to know, honestly.
All in all, the scenery was
10
incredible.
out of 10.
The food was incredible.
Before we branch off and talk about a different topic, if you go to Lake Moraine, this is huge. Mm-hmm. You cannot drive your personal vehicle up there. You have
least this year.
No. Somebody told me that it started a couple years ago.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, so I think that's just like a park. It maybe started when COVID happened.
That could be.
I would bet.
And they just kept going with it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, and thank God, because, Lake Louise compared to Lake Moraine, that was insanity. Yeah. Amount of people. Like, you could barely... It almost feels like when you're at the Minnesota State Fair, and you're like, excuse me, and you're trying to get, like, it's... ton of people. Lake Moraine was not as busy.
No.
They had buses, and they only have so many buses a day. And so once they're filled up, they're filled up.
Yep.
Ethan did some legwork on that.
Yeah. I would highly recommend, if you're going ahead of time, maybe a couple weeks in advance, book a shuttle. There's multiple different shuttle companies that'll take you into Moraine. And obviously the parking, I think that's part of the reason they have it. No
oh my God,
personal vehicles. The parking lot is like, what do we think? Maybe could fit 40 or 50 cars.
It's
and then
tiny.
From there to get back to like where the next closest spot to park was like 11 miles. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, unless you got a bike and you're like wanting to bike or really do a long hike up there, you got to catch a shuttle because you're not. I was
surprised at how like that road was to get up there. I'm like, are we there yet?
Yeah,
I thought it was a quick
2-lane road with no shoulder.
Yeah, and this big bus. I'm like, holy man! And these people are like riding their bikes up there. I'm like,
yeah. Well, and part of the reason
so scary
Lake Louise was so busy was there's like Louise Village. There's these different resorts around there. So there's like a lot more areas to park up by Lake Louise. So they allow personal vehicles in and out of there. That's why it was so insanely busy.
And you have to like, if you were to go to Lake Louise, like, and not do the horseback riding, because we got special parking because we did the horseback riding. So, but I don't think we would have been able to find a parking spot if we weren't. And we went horseback riding at what, like, what time was that? Like
10:30.
10:30.
No, we did a 1:30.
I was gonna say, I think it was 1:30, but yeah, that you would not be able to even at 10:30. It just gets so busy. I was reading before we went when people would go park and they're like, what time should I get to Lake Moraine? And they're like, leave at 2:30 a.m. I'm like, the heck?
Yeah, it's and the other thing to consider, not that it's going to be like that for you guys when you go out there, but there was the main road. Because, I mean, if they're literally closed because of traffic during, from October through May.
Well, that's Banff.
Right, the Banff area, but that's where we ran into the road construction. It's like they only have like 4 or 5 months to actually do construction from Banff up to Lake Louise.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would assume maybe that's open, but it's like frigid temperatures, so they're probably not doing the construction during the winter. Anyway, they had it down to 1 lane, and it added probably a good half hour to 40 minutes onto our
the one day it was almost like an hour. I'm like, oh my God, we're stopped. We're literally not moving. And then when we were leaving from Lake Moraine to go home, it was so much longer at what?
It was almost
what was that?
To Banff.
2? Yeah. I'm like, these people are going to be waiting all day. Like, it's going to be dark by the time they get
Oh, yeah. It was
there.
Brutal.
It was brutal. But all in all, 10 out of 10 recommend. I asked the kids, I was like, what's your favorite road trip so far? And they all said Montana.
I know.
Even in Banff, I was like, I don't know, maybe it was cooler for us because we really can like, look at this.
I think what they really loved about Montana, and a couple of them said it, seeing the wildlife. Like we saw so much more like buffalo up close and personal. We saw bear, we saw elk. Like here we saw, Austin thinks out of the corner of his eye, we saw a bear. We saw like,
I swear to God, it was in the river. We're like, okay.
We were driving by. We saw like a few female elk, no like big male elk with the big racks or anything.
No, we didn't see.
But that was like
that
we saw for wildlife. So I think if we had gone again, or if I had known that in advance that you didn't see as many, I would have specifically sought out areas that we could see wildlife.
Yeah, when we were in Montana, the only way to get into Yellowstone was through a tour guide. Yeah. And so that was really fun. We learned a lot. I'm like, love learning about, first of all, different places and about just history. I love it.
Yep.
And so we had a lot of like backstory. And a funny thing was like telling us about the buffalo.
Yeah.
Or the bison, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we got like exclusive access back, and there was this whole huge herd of them, and they were like, first of all, buffalo or bison are rude. When they're mating, they will, this is what they taught us, they like pin the girl away from the crowd
and from the other guys.
And if they like don't do it with them, they will like literally corner them and not let them move until they do. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yep.
Yuck. I'm glad I'm not a buffalo.
I know.
Jeez. So anyway, then she said, yeah, it's really crazy. They just kind of, they're so big, but they can sneak up on you. Mm-hmm. And we were like, really? So we were going to the bathroom no joke. Me and Nevaeh were like, my mom was there too. We're like, let's go to the bathroom really quick. There's pit stop. I'm in the bathroom, and all of a sudden I hear Ethan like get in there, and I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And a buffalo or bison, I guess, I don't know, just literally walked right behind me and Nevaeh, or like.
So you were in the bathroom,
Yeah.
and I was standing out there with Grayson and Nevaeh, and our guide was like, Ethan. She's like not trying to yell, and I turn around, and there's literally a buffalo heading right towards us, or bison, whatever.
Yeah,
and
just
I'm like,
say bison.
Courtney. And you like just happened to be done. You opened the door. I shoved the kids into the bathroom and then closed the door. And the thing just like lumbered past.
Yeah.
Like he didn't even see us there, but we're like just kind of standing
He
still.
was.
Like,
and I was like, God, I wish I had my camera
they're
right
like
now.
over 1,000 pounds. I can't remember how much they are, but they're
huge. It just kind of strolled on by.
Sure did.
And that was definitely one of those core memories that I feel like the kids are going to like, remember that bison that walked by. And then there was a baby bear that we saw. He was a scraggly baby bear. I don't know where his mom was. I think his mom must have lost him or something.
Yeah.
Because he looked
real confused.
Ragged.
Yeah.
But anyway. So, yeah. That was our trip.
It was a great trip. If you can stay in Canmore, it's a little cheaper, more options to stay. Book things a little bit further in advance.
Yep.
And give yourselves plenty of extra time going to each of the things in case you run into lack of parking or construction.
Yeah.
Is that a good summary?
That's a good summary. I think so. I think that's in general what we did. We went. What?
I was going to say we did do the gondola too. Courtney loved it.
God, I forgot about the gondola.
You guys have heard Courtney and her flight anxiety, anything height related, I guess.
Well, okay, I can do like scary Valley Fair things, like the Power Tower. You don't really love that.
No.
The one that they hold you up there and you just drops you. See, I love that. And I cannot with the gondola. It was gondola. Gondola? How do you say it?
Either one.
Oh, I got corrected, so I don't know what it is.
I say gondola, but it's probably gondola.
Gondola. Okay. Anyways, it was way up the mountain. I felt like I honestly, and then not only that, first of all, I felt like I was going to die. Second, once we got down, we realized the weight limit, and Austin's like, huh.
We did the math.
Yeah.
We were over.
Yeah. And I was like, I am really glad you guys told me that. And we are almost to the ground. So thank God.
Yeah. So you guys know gondola is like an enclosed chairlift.
Gondola.
Like at a ski resort. Gondola. And this one went, like you guys have seen the pine trees if you've been out to the mountains. Lodgepole pines are extremely straight and super tall. So this thing was probably, to clear the pine trees, we're like 80 to 100 feet in the air in these things. And you get on the chairlift and it goes like this. Like literally straight up the mountain. I mean, you don't feel it because you're just hanging, like a pendulum. But then every upright or every support beam that we came across, it would kind of do this clunk, clunk, and then we'd swing a little bit.
Okay, you know what was one of the questions? So this is so random. We're going to just like touch on a few because we haven't talked about the fact that I was homeschooled and that you were homeschooled. Well, like we were homeschooled, but like went to school.
Yeah.
I feel like we should talk about that for like a hot second.
Okay.
Because like I don't really ever talk that I was homeschooled.
Yeah.
So the story with my family is my mom raising us. They didn't have a lot of family that was close to us when we moved here to Minnesota. Or not to Minnesota, but like in the country.
Yeah.
They grew up, they like lived in the city for a little bit. And my mom was like, I'm going to homeschool. She was all on that like kind of kick of like, I'm going to homeschool and like have a garden and all of that. So I was homeschooled kindergarten. I went to school for first grade. And then I was not a good reader. That was one thing that I was terrible at. Like, I'm kind of dyslexic.
Really?
I'm not joking. Yeah. So I didn't learn how to read very well. And my mom was just like, I just don't feel like your teacher like knows how to teach you like I can.
Yeah.
So I'm going to homeschool you. So she homeschooled. My sister went to school first grade and second grade.
Okay.
And then was homeschooled with me second grade, third grade. Danielle's a year older than me. So second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I went back to school in fifth grade.
So did you go to school, kindergarten, and...
No, I didn't go to school in kindergarten.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
Kindergarten when we were kids were not like, we didn't learn that much. It was almost like preschool.
It's like an optional thing.
Yeah. My mom was like, you don't need to go.
Right.
So, and then first grade comes and all these kids like,
Yeah.
know more than me. And I was like the typical baby of the family. Like I just like was like, I don't want to. So yeah, teaching, like learning how to read was so hard. So she taught me. And then, so I went to school. We had a curriculum. We had PACEs. I don't know if you ever had that. You probably didn't.
Probably not.
Because it was like
talking about.
Yeah. But it was like these little booklets. And I remember the kids that were in them. If I could Google it, oh my God, I would love to. Just like look back. They had little stories. They had math, science, all that, social studies. Yeah. And you had to do so many a year. And then we had to take like tests to see if we're like up to par or whatever. So fifth grade, I went back to school, and then my mom was like, no, I'm homeschooling you again, 6th, 7th. And then I went back to school 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And when I went back to like middle school, that's when cause I had always done gymnastics.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it as like a competitive thing in high school. And so that was like a big motivating factor for me to, like, I was like, Mom, I begged my mom to go back to school. Begged. But then my sister, on the other hand, she loved being homeschooled. And she was like, I don't want to go back to school. She never did. So that's how different me and my sister are.
Yeah. My older brother was the same. He would have been fine being homeschooled like his entire life.
Yeah.
I think.
I would cry. I'd be like, Mom, please. She'd be like, if you change your attitude, you could go back to school.
Yeah. I was not a fan of homeschooling.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Outgoing, got to be around people.
Yeah.
Got to be socializing all the time.
Yeah.
I went to a little private Lutheran school from kindergarten through 4th.
Yeah.
Then I was homeschooled for 5th grade. And then my mom put me into public school, but she open enrolled us in a school that the district we weren't even in. Yeah. Because all the people we lived around, the parents were like, no, don't put them in this school. Open enroll them in the town next door, basically. So we went, and I enjoyed it. I'll take that back. I enjoyed majority of it. The 6th grade year, my first year in public school.
You got bullied.
Happened to be the same. I mean, I feel like that's pretty typical for like a new kid.
Never happened to me.
No. Yeah, I don't know.
I was just, I never got, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But like Austin kind of got the same little, like he got bullied for not bullied, I should say, but like more teased.
Yeah.
For the things that like you, right?
Yeah,
what did you,
they were emotional.
Just,
I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was emotional.
6th grade, I was an emotional kid. In 6th grade, like literally that's right when I was like hitting puberty. And between K through 8, there was probably a total of 60 kids. Jeez. Very small. So then I went from 60 kids in an entire school to like 3 kids because I was homeschooled, me and my 2 brothers, to like 600 kids in the middle school that I attended. So I was overwhelmed. I was going through all these hormonal changes because of puberty. Yeah. And I swear probably my attendance was maybe like 50% that year. There was so many days that I would just have an emotional breakdown just crying in class, and they'd have to call my mom, and she'd come pick me up and bring me home.
Oh my gosh.
And also I was like,
what did your mom?
So I was like being emotional. So that's probably part of why I was getting picked on. I mean, and I was like a big kid, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Yeah. I was like one of the biggest kids in my class because I was like hitting everything so early. But I'd get pushed down the hill. I mean, it was not great. 6th grade sucked. But then I started making friends and got involved in football in 7th and 8th, 7th grade and 8th grade. And then from there.
When your mom picked you up every day, was she like, okay, like no, you gotta.
My mom was definitely, she was not a tough love person. She was.
That's your dad.
Oh, it's okay. Let's go home. And,
yeah. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know which way it would go because sometimes your mom could go either way.
Yeah. My dad was at work. He had nothing. He worked the typical.
Yeah.
Well, started working.
What was
5.
the supplement that your mom gave you that she swore by, and she was like, Austin should take it, and I'm like,
yeah, obviously I don't know enough about it because I was so young to.
This is Ethan's mom. Before we even say this, because I don't know it was like a weird supplement.
It was trace minerals.
Oh, never mind. It's not weird.
It wasn't weird.
But she's very hippie.
Yep.
And
Natural.
literally, super into that. So she was like, oh, I'm gonna get you on some supplements. I think you're lacking something.
Yeah, I think she had talked to somebody or something and they'd recommend it, so she picked it up, and things happened to get better after I started taking them again. Maybe it was part of that. Maybe it was I started
getting
to make
in
a
the
couple
groove.
friends.
Yeah,
I was getting more. But yeah, it was a brutal. At least the first half of the year was pretty rough.
Yeah. To say, so I know, my sister homeschools now because she loved it so much. That's just we're so different in that way. Yeah. And I knew when we had kids, that was not my journey. I think because when I was younger, it's you obviously do things different than what happened to you. Not happen, but you're oh, I didn't like homeschooling, so my kids aren't going to be homeschooled. If they begged me or if they were having a really hard time, Nevaeh did, not homeschooling, but she stayed a lot after her brain surgery. She was half in school, half not.
Yep.
And it's she had this I want to go back, but I don't want to go back because she just loves her friends so much.
Yeah. She's a very social person.
Grayson, I think, would be homeschooled, but he wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I don't want to do school today. I know that I'm not adequate enough to teach them and I know that they have whole curriculums and stuff, but everybody, if you can do it, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just knew. I was like, no way.
Yeah. We did fine, during COVID. Whatever amount of time it was that they were home. But again, we didn't have to plan any of that out. That was pre-planned.
Teachers still
we just basically had to supervise and keep them on task.
Okay, you have to get on this Zoom at whatever time. Right. And Yep. So, but
for all you teachers, thank you for
oh my God. Yeah. We could not. We did some clearing of the lists and stuff for teachers, and we got to pick. I don't think you knew some of them. You probably just saw all the stuff all the school stuff. I was trying to look
on
through
Amazon. I'm like, we never got that. That looks like it was meant for a classroom.
Yeah. There's some of them that I was scrolling through because I was looking through one of my orders because I was going to link something. And then I was like, this is going to take too long. I have to because I had ordered so much stuff for different teachers and stuff, but forever thankful because holy cow, your job is so hard. Yep. You don't get enough stuff. You don't and you are taking care of our babies. Yeah. I could not thank you enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And teachers take their they take their kids their own.
Yeah,
so
they do. Yep.
I just am not good at that. And you do what you're good at.
Yep. True.
And mine just happens to be makeup. But
amongst many other things.
How do you keep a close family? I just think I grew up in a really close family, and one of the biggest things that we do or did and still do is we're very open and honest about a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
So even when the kids are going through certain things, different seasons, different friends, different whatever, and they come to us with advice and stuff. I don't know. Austin said it in the last podcast, but basically how coming at them without judgment is basically what I'm trying to get at. If there's a lot of times that I feel kids, especially teenagers, feel they get a little nervous talking to parents because they feel they're going to be judged by them.
Yep.
And I feel we're very good at taking oh, I've been there.
Right.
This is what we did, and not at all because I feel I'm just like, so it's like we're strict, but we're also like very open.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know. I shouldn't say we're very strict. I feel like we're a lot looser than some parents.
Yeah, we're definitely
I guess.
not strict as our upbringing was.
Correct.
We have the kids know right and wrong. The kids know. I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to think what the better word is for strict.
Yeah, I guess if you were to ask the kids, they'd be like, "No, you're not strict."
We have structure.
Yeah.
We don't just allow them to do whatever they want. We have structure. We make sure they have a balance in their lives.
Yeah. They're like doing chores, cleaning their rooms. They have responsibilities too. They do the dishes, vacuum.
They're allowed to be on Xbox or be on their phones, but then we say, all right, enough's enough. Shut them off for the day. Let's go outside. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you make a good point when you're talking about not judging them. And that's constantly something I have to remind myself from. And I know I've touched on it a few times in some of the other podcasts, but being present and being, what do they need in that specific moment when they're coming to you?
Yeah.
And not just like jumping to what I would, like what I think.
My dad would never let me get away with that. And it's like, really at the end of the day, that doesn't matter in this moment.
Correct.
Like what your dad would have done.
Right.
Because really your dad's not his dad.
Here's a moment of truth. I was close to my dad in the sense that, we got along. We worked on cars together. There was a lot of similarities, woodworking and stuff like that. But when it came to things like talking about girls, or it came to like
friends,
like if I was in trouble with something, I wouldn't go to them and be like, hey, I need to come clean about something like that. I was scared.
Yeah.
Like I never felt with
safe.
My family that they're, and not that I was like unsafe, like I was
no, I mean safe with like your emotions,
right?
Like you didn't feel safe going to your parents and being like, I'm really nervous, I'm gonna give you this,
right? That they were gonna treat it like, hey, I understand what you need in this moment. Talk to me,
understanding,
kind of
right?
It was immediate jump to judgment, immediate jump to anger. You were wrong. Why did you do that? Shame on you. Like that kind of thing.
Right.
And so I was close to my dad, but I didn't have that deep of relationship where I felt like I could talk to him about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still things to this day that my parents don't know about me or about me and you, because the way I was raised, I just felt guarded. Like I couldn't come and talk to them about certain things because I'd get in trouble or get judged or whatever.
And it's so crazy. This is now getting deep, but like when we talk, it comes up in therapy all the time. And we're being like very vulnerable at this moment, but like it comes up in therapy a lot because how I was raised was absolutely so different. Mm-hmm. And like, so you kind of like, because I knew Ethan's parents because we grew up together. So I've known them since I was young. But like, my parents, like me getting in trouble was like so different. Like if I remember specifically, I drank underage and I knew like I was going to tell my mom, and I was like, I have to tell on myself. Yeah. And I knew like she knew kind of already. So it was like I had to tell her. And I remember being so nervous.
Yep.
And I was like already crying, already like, and my mom, I was like, I drank last night. And she was like, and she already knew, like, she knew, I knew, like, she was like, okay, you already
been a detective.
Yeah. But she already knew, but also she knew by looking at me that I knew that I felt bad about it and I felt terrible, and I was telling her. So there was no point in her like shaming me.
Right.
Because I basically learned my lesson by having to tattle on myself at that point, like at that point I'm already like, like, so my mom was like, oh, you did?
Yeah.
What did you drink? And I was like, vodka. And she was like, ugh, I hate vodka. And I was like, I know, me too. I don't like it.
Never gonna drink it again.
Yeah. So, but like, I felt so much better. And it's like, you then at that moment when you're feeling so vulnerable by telling your parents this, then you feel immediately closer because you're like,
and
oh my,
safe.
yeah, safe. You are like, thank God. Thank God I feel like I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And she's like, it's fine. Like at this moment right now, you learned your lesson. And we have had a moment like that with Austin. And of course, every person who's growing, you're going to make mistakes. And it's like, your kids know, like they're not going to be perfect.
Right.
So for you getting mad at them for just like literally not being perfect, I'm not perfect.
No.
Ethan's not perfect. So I can't be like, well, you should have known.
Yeah.
You know, like Austin, we had a moment and it was like, I could see it in Ethan's eyes. Like he was just like already mad. And I was like, listen to him though. Like listen to how he feels right now.
Yep.
And at this moment, like think about what he needs from you. Not like he's perfect. He should have never done that. It's like, oh, right. It's already over.
Yeah.
But like, and it went so good.
It really did. And I was just going to say, I feel like that was a big turning point. He's always been an open kid with us, but that was a big mistake that could have gone one of two ways. It could have gone us coming down on him hard, judging him, shaming him, whatever. And he probably would have shut down and would never have been open to sharing like that again. In the future.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you reined me in.
Yeah.
And we handled it the way
and
that
then
we did. Now
I remember I took the phone because I was like, yeah, he's even more.
Yeah, and I mean, we were in a public place, so it's not like I was going to like go off on him by any means, but
no, but I could just tell by like the way that you were reacting, like you were getting, and I was like, and we were on our way to go to like on a trip
British
and
Virgin Islands or something.
Thank God, no, Nashville. But thank God, like my mom was there, and I'm like, I don't know how it would have been, like if it was like if it was your parents
or just a random sitter.
Yeah. So, but anyways, it's just like there's certain situations that I feel like if you check yourself before you, and we have to say too, you guys know we are not perfect. We're not trying to be, but we're just learning as we go because like,
and just sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been so different from like, like going through therapy and kind of them being like, okay, we have to like relearn, kind of whatever.
Right.
But yeah, that is one thing that my parents had taught me growing up, and we're still really close. Like me and my mom text every single day. Like my dad is close. Like he'll call me randomly. So it's just something that is super important to us. Mm-hmm. And we've always wanted that with our kids. And that's why I feel like I'm like,
Yeah. The biggest observation just in the conversation is our parents were similar in the sense that we both had a very strict conservative upbringing. However, with Courtney's family, there was more grace.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. Like with me, I didn't, I learned very early if I did something wrong.
Yeah.
And they found out about it or I told them about it, I was in deep trouble.
Right. Grounded.
Yeah. I mean,
but like it's so crazy to think, like when you think about it as an adult, like that parents expect their kids to be perfect.
Right.
And like we are not perfect. So it's like, how do we expect our kids to be? Like they're going to make mistakes all the way up until until they, are old.
Yeah.
But so do we, Yeah. So that's one thing that I feel like we are very like, okay, check ourselves for a moment on any sort of situation that is coming up, especially with teenagers, because, there's a lot more emotions and there's a lot, they get into, they have friends in high school and driving and girlfriends. And so there's a lot more in the mix.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, there's reasons why we parent the way that we parent based off of our upbringing. But I think something that motivates us too is like Courtney and I have always talked about, even from before having kids, like when we have kids, and we've talked about it recently too, we want like our house to be a place where
The house.
yeah, like the hangout place where Austin brings friends after school, Nevaeh does, Grayson does, or hey, we're gonna come home for a couple hours before a football game, hang out, eat some food, or come hang out on the weekends. Like we want, and my place was never the hangout place. I was trying to get as far away from going and hanging out with my
definitely
friends.
was.
Yeah, but like your parents' place has always been by hundreds of teenagers looked at as a safe, non-judgmental zone.
Yeah,
that they can hang out.
My parents are going to be crying when they listen to this.
Yeah.
They're such saps. They're going to be like, my dad's going to call me out and listen to your podcast. It's so good.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, we just went on a tangent. We're like, we're not going to talk that long. And we did. We're going to make, I know. It was good. Yeah. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this random podcast today. I'm going to take my makeup off and eat some caramel popcorn.
Time to put the kiddos night.
Grayson, we told him we were going to have some caramel popcorn.
Been a long day. Oh, I'll whip that up quick.
I know. We went school shopping today too, so everybody's exhausted. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you later.
See you guys.
Bye.